What is going on, garden fans? Welcome back to the Permaculture Homestead. I am at the project site today and we are going to do a full walking tour of this food forest. It is July 2025. We are located in Zone 8, South Carolina, and we've been getting a good amount of rain. So there's a lot to see out here. This is definitely going to be a longer format tour as I go into a little bit of detail about what's growing on and what we're doing. I'm not out here as often, so buckle up, prepare for a big one. Come on back and enjoy the journey. All right, garden fans, starting here at the top of the hill and moving my way down. We have just got this huge polyculture of fruit and nut trees at the top of our hill, and I'm going to kind of point and click at a couple of things just so you can get an idea of the variety, and then we're going to go into a little bit of detail. So just from left to right, we have pomegranate here, we have hazelnuts, we've got jujube, we've got more jujube, more hazelnuts. We have a Chinese chestnut tree, which is really starting to kind of take its rightful place in the upper canopy. Underneath that tree, it's got its own companion plants of gummy berry. Part of this nut guild is a plum that we have right here. This is an Ozark plum. It's already fruited and dropped its fruit in the spring. And this guy is probably about topped out. I don't expect this plum tree to get any taller than it is right now. We have a pecan tree with its own gummy berry next to it, more pomegranate, we have pear trees out here, and of course all the companion plants and ground covers to go with it. So a lot of fruit growing up here at the top of the hill. The variety is very diverse with fruit and nuts. As we go down the hill, the variety of things changes a little bit. Some of that is due to spacing, to sunlight exposure, and water and soil exposure. So the Asian pears that we got here, these are great for bottling, canning. They are loaded down, and we've got two Asian pear trees out here. Here is one of them loaded down. These should be ready to be picking in just a little while, but definitely looking good at this time of year. Here is its pollinator, another Asian pear. This one definitely flowered this year but did not set much fruit. They're two different varieties. It's got some fruit on the bottom. I know that one of these is a pineapple and one of them is an Asian pear, but they're great pollinators, great for cross-pollination. That's why we kind of got them so close. So pears are coming on. Also at this time of year, we're harvesting elderberry. All of our elderberry have set fruit and they're getting picked along the way. Here is one of our olive trees that survived through the last two winters. So I'm really excited to see where this goes here in South Carolina. I might have finally found a variety that works for Zone 8 and that can tolerate some of our chilling hours. All of the pomegranates on site have set fruit and are holding their fruit. Most of them won't be ready, of course, until the late fall, but they're holding fruit right now. The pecan tree that is here, still not quite mature enough to be setting fruit, but it is a good 25 feet tall at this point in the game, really starting to take its rightful spot in the canopy. And right next to it, you can see we got about a 20-foot tall plum tree. Here again, that plum tree is not gonna get any taller throughout the years. What you're really gonna see is this nut tree really get bigger, taller, and wider as we go along. As with most of our nut trees, we have gummy berry, which is a nitrogen fixing shrub. This shrub also happens to put on an edible berry for us. I am very aggressive with the pruning of the Elaeagnus multiflorea here. And you can see we got a nice little, here again, companion planting of the nut tree and the nitrogen fixing shrub right next to it. We have a very similar pattern, not about 30 feet away, a Chinese chestnut, which is starting to really sprawl out and get very tall. Really here again, starting to make this overstory canopy. Right next to it, of course, is that gummy berry. And this nut tree itself is also starting to put on some nuts. Now let me see if I can find some of the spiky balls here. Let me zoom in for you just a touch. We have two Chinese chestnuts on site here. Both of them are setting their fruits, but neither of those will be ready until we get to about September or October, right before our first frost. Next to this nut tree, we have huge, giant hazelnut shrubs. And not only have the hazelnut shrubs set their spring fruits, they are catkinning to again set more fruit later on. More nuts, basically. In between this two hazel patches is another pomegranate. And once again, all the pomegranates on site have flowered and are setting fruit right now. It's very thick and very dense back here, garden fans. Excuse me, kind of hard to give you an idea of the scope and size unless you're actually out here, but it is really getting tight back here. Here again, more catkins on this hazelnut tree. It's definitely, these are the pollinating parts getting ready to set more nuts. Here are what hazelnuts are looking like. Now the paper husk on them is starting to dry up. So these guys are definitely getting ready to harvest right now. And if we're lucky, we'll get another fall harvest or early winter harvest from all these new catkins coming on. As these hazelnuts get more mature, I've been finding that we get a spring flush and then a fall flush of nuts on them. So very productive, highly productive hazelnut trees. Kind of flanking them, we have a jujube, and all of our jujube on site are setting fruit. Here are the jujube fruit. Most of these will be ready by next month. You can start picking them next month if you want to kind of eat them while they're crunchy and crisp, kind of like a crab apple. Or you can leave your jujube on the tree for another month or so, let them get into fall, and they will shrivel up just a little bit and get a little bit sweeter. This is where it gets its other name, the Chinese date, from. Here again, there's that Chinese chestnut for idea of scope. Another jujube. And there we've just kind of walked through our first swale patty. Last thing out here is, once again, more pomegranate. So great variety of fruit and nuts out here, garden fans. We're growing things that are generally pest and disease tolerant because we don't want to have to do a whole bunch of maintenance. Most of these plants can tolerate our conditions out here in South Carolina, which is very similar to a Mediterranean environment. However, we do get the rainfall of a subtropical region. So we're kind of on the border of where, if it gets any warmer, we'll be very much like Florida, but if we get cooler, we'll be very much like North Carolina. On this next swale patty down, the variety of things kind of thins out a little bit. Fewer nut trees and more fruit trees and shrubs. Here again, more jujube. All of them on site are fruiting and setting loads of fruit. Here's another jujube. We have two different varieties, Lee and Lang variety, differentiated by the size of fruit. One's more oblong, one's more round, kind of like a crab apple, and one of them, like this variety here, looks more like a pear. So two different varieties of jujube out here so that it can cross-pollinate. We have a planting here of more pomegranate. Here's another pomegranate tree setting fruit. And we've planted so many different varieties of pomegranate that they are all going to kind of fruit and harvest at different times of the year. As I step on back a little bit, you're going to see a pineapple guava pairing here. There's two of them, and they are all setting fruit. These will be ready by about September. So here again, everything out here, garden fans, if it hasn't already fruited, it's starting to fruit right now. And that's kind of the pattern out here. I really want to make sure that we're harvesting something fresh and new every single month. So within the next month or so, we're going to be harvesting the jujube, a lot of the fruits, the elderberry we're harvesting right now, figs as well. So we got a fig tree right here. Here's another jujube right next to it. And here's the one lone pecan tree that we got on this second swale patty. I'll look up really quick. Very thick, very dense, getting bigger. So we have this great understory of mint. Some of the wild asters and goldenrod are coming up with the mint. We let that happen. You know, we want ground cover, a living ground cover. So all of our mint right now is flowering, bringing in pollinators. Every time you take a step, you get this minty smell. So it smells really nice out here. Very aromatic smell as we go throughout the food forest. We have two persimmons on site, Japanese persimmon, and both of them are setting their fruit right now. These won't be ready till October, November time, but all of the persimmon, Japanese persimmon, mind you, are setting fruit, looking good, and getting ready to kind of produce for us big this year. Another jujube here. We got bunches of jujube. These are generally pest and disease tolerant plants. I have not had any problems with jujube over the 8 years we've been out here. More pomegranate here again, setting fruit, looking really good. We step back, walk down this swale patty here, swale mound. We have a pair of Chickasaw plums kind of in the middle of this swale patty and then swale itself. And these Chickasaw plums have already, fruited, flowered, dropped their fruit. We've picked everything we could. These have been prolific fruiters for us. We couldn't even pick all the fruit that we were getting off of it. So you're going to see a lot of fruit on the ground here that's just kind of fallen because here again, these are so prolific, such heavy producers that we cannot get to it fast enough. On the very bottom of the hill here, we have one more swale patty and mound I want to talk about. Blueberries are still fruiting and flowering right now. And these guys look great, taste great. One of the benefits of growing a lot of different varieties of blueberries is that they're harvested throughout a long period of time. We've been harvesting blueberries for the past month and a half right now. And here again with a couple different varieties, high bush, low bush, rabbit eye, pink lemonade, having these different varieties of fruits allow us to harvest over a longer period of time. There's also some built-in redundancy. If one of the varieties doesn't produce as heavy one year, well, a different variety may produce just as heavy. The pattern down here at the bottom of the hill is pretty simple. We have a centralized mayhaw trees. The understory to them is the blueberries, and then down from that we have figs and pawpaws. And as I was saying, all the figs are putting on fruit and producing right now. It's the same story with the fig trees that we got here. A lot of different varieties that are growing. So we're harvesting figs throughout a long season. Let me keep on kind of covering out. It is very thick back here, garden fans. We need to do another pruning, another fig tree putting on fruit. We have LSU Gold, Celeste fig, brown turkey fig, black mission figs, just so many different varieties, all really starting to put on their fruit and harvest little by little at a time. Keep on walking down. Here's another fig. I do believe this is the LSU Gold. These will be ripening up within the next month. And then pawpaw right downhill from that. Let me step on back, give you another peek. Here again, more elderberry. Elderberry is a great shrub species. As I'm looking back where we walked, you can see how thick and dense it is right here, garden fans. And that's part of the model. That's the plan. We wanted to grow thick. We wanted to grow dense. This should be looking like a wild forest. That's the pattern we want. When you get something that looks like this wild, some would say unkept, but I promise you a lot of the unkept look to it has been planned. It's purposeful. We are certainly letting some of the wild weeds grow. Things like this winged sumac. This is a wild one here in South Carolina. I'm letting it grow. It's going to flower and produce a fruit for us late in the fall. The pawpaw trees all setting fruit. These guys are going to be ready in about another month. Lots of pawpaw growing, and we have quite a few pawpaw trees here down at the bottom of the hill. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawpaw trees down here, 6 really. Most of them are setting some fruit, putting on some level of fruit set this year. Now that they're getting to be about 10-15 feet tall, they're all getting about mature enough and strong enough to be able to hold these giant bunches of very heavy, thick fruit. So yeah, all the pawpaws looking really good. They are interspersed with goomy berry. That's the shrub species you see next to them and around them. That's just for nitrogen fixation. And as these pawpaws continue to grow up tall, we're going to keep chopping down the shrub species until eventually they're chopped all the way down to the ground. And all we have here is this beautiful hedge of pawpaws at the bottom of the hill. I'm going to keep on stepping back. Here again, talking about wild stuff. We have catawba out here. Catawba tree. Some people in South Carolina call this the cigar plant. I call it a fish tree because often you can harvest the silkworms that live on the catawba tree and go fishing with them. So some people will call this the cigar tree. Others call it the fish tree. But here again, this is just our way of letting the wild native trees and shrubs grow out here to have a habitat for all the local creatures. And then of course we have things that aren't local and native, like crepe myrtle over here. I like crepe myrtle for South Carolina only because they flower at a time of year when there's not a whole lot of things flowering. And this is perfect for bees or beekeepers. I just like having crepe myrtle around because they do a great job of providing pollen and nectar to local bees and honeybees at a time when there's really nothing going on. At the bottom of the hill, a mixed vegetable planting. This is Tracy's doing. She's one of the sisters, and there are just so many things out here. I'll touch on a couple. Tomatoes. We got cucumbers growing up the tomato vines. I see squash. She's got black-eyed Susans over here as a companion plant. Dill. We have okra coming up right now. So just a mixed vegetable companion planting. Here are some of those okra coming in. Basil as a companion plant to most of these things. But yeah, our vegetable garden here is fed by all the runoff water from the project. So as the swales fill with water, they all spill over and follow a common spillway down the hill, and all that spillway water kind of moves its way, meanders its way through the vegetable garden. Anyway, garden fans, let me give you one more big broad look at the whole place. We have an asparagus patch here with mint growing with it as a companion plant. This seems to be a really good pairing, mint with asparagus. The asparagus doesn't really ever get bug eaten, so it's a great planting, great ground cover. As I'm walking back up the hill, what you're going to see is a thick, dense biomass of trees and shrubs all stuck together in a way that they're benefiting from each other. This is a natural food forest. We do not spray out here, no pesticides, no herbicides, no fungicides, nothing like that. This is all completely 100% natural, and I promise you could do a lot if you just think outside the box a little bit. And follow the rules, quote unquote, of permaculture, of companion planting. You too could have this thick, dense food forest without having to put a whole lot of work into it. As always, garden fans, I appreciate you coming out to the project site today. Certainly a little bit longer video than usual, longer format. I'm not out here as often. So when I do get out here, I really want to give you a good look at what's growing on. If you got any questions, by all means, just ask. Thanks as always. God bless.